Society treats a high IQ like a biological head start, a tool that is supposed to make every social interaction and professional hurdle easier to clear. But the people living with that mind describe a quieter, more exhausting reality. It is a life defined by restless nights and a persistent internal static that makes them feel isolated even when they are surrounded by others. This happens because high intelligence functions as a high-gain processing system. It forces the brain to experience the world at a much higher frequency than average. This system absorbs specific details, logical inconsistencies, and sensory inputs most people naturally ignore. When a mind cannot filter out the noise of its environment, it becomes a heavy burden to carry. This internal hardware structures data automatically, identifying connections between scattered events without conscious effort. This allows you to spot a logical crack in a plan while everyone else celebrates, or sense the moment words stop matching intentions. However, pointing out these hidden flaws often makes you the difficult person in the room. Most people prefer the comfort of the flawed system over the person highlighting the problem. You are left holding the weight of what you've noticed, watching problems unfold in slow motion while everyone else moves on. Because the brain perceives so many angles, a single thought rarely stays simple. It immediately branches out into a dozen parallel paths of inquiry. This leads to rumination, where the mind cross-examines every possible word in a text message or every potential outcome of a conversation before it even happens. It creates a strange contrast. You might solve an abstract engineering problem in seconds, but feel completely paralyzed by a low-stakes choice like which restaurant to visit. The same analytical engine that solves problems eventually creates a state of chronic decision fatigue. Social interactions often feel out of sync because you are processing the conversation several layers deeper or several steps ahead of the person speaking. To fit in, you learn to actively shrink your thoughts and simplify your language, offering only a small fraction of what you are actually thinking. This habit of hiding your cognitive depth ensures that while you are physically present, you remain entirely misunderstood. You experience a persistent distance, the sensation of being unseen, even while standing in the center of a conversation. Your certainty often decreases as you learn more. Every new piece of information reveals 3 more variables you hadn't considered, making a definitive answer feel like a lie. This creates a gap in public spaces where the loudest people with the simplest, most flawed answers are the ones who are believed. Internally, this leads to the fear that you are a fraud. The more you achieve, the more you worry that you've just been lucky, and that eventually people will find out. Intelligence can eventually twist ambition into a fear of making mistakes, where the goal is no longer to reach for greatness, but simply to avoid failure. When the mind has finished analyzing the systems at work in your daily life, it often turns that same investigative pressure towards the structure of time and the fact of mortality. This confrontation with the sheer scale of existence creates a specific type of heaviness. It is a sadness born from asking questions that have no logical answer. You can have a successful life on paper and still feel a profound emptiness because you cannot find a structural purpose for the things you do every day. The analytical mind craves meaning, and it suffers when it finds itself in a universe that doesn't provide a clear blueprint. Your mind sets the sensitivity of your experience. It dictates how much of the world's natural frequency you are forced to hear. You are not defective or broken. You are simply awake in a world that most people experience with the sound turned halfway down. That sensitivity is the source of your chronic ache, but it is also the source of your empathy, your insight, and your ability to understand the world at a depth most will never know. You don't need to fix your mind or lower its volume. You only need to understand how it works and learn to carry its weight with a little more kindness toward yourself.